Hello, my name is Maria Mangeldi, legal advisor and academic researcher, and today I'm going to talk about the concept of international cooperation from the perspective of neoliberal institutionalism. In an in an anarchic system, there is no central authority above states. This means that each state acts primarily on its own interest, which makes cooperation difficult, even when there are clear mutual benefits. This raises an important question: how cooperation is possible under these conditions? In this presentation, I will explain how neoliberal institutionalism answers this question. I will focus on the role of international institutions as mechanisms that reduce uncertainty, structure interactions, and facilitate coordination in a globalized world. Now let's talk about the methodology and the theoretical framework. Both realism and institutionalism start from similar assumptions. They agree that international system is anarchic and that states are rational and self-interested actors. However, they differ in one key aspect: how they understand gains. Realists focus on relative gains, meaning that states care about how much they gain compared to others. This often limits cooperation because states fear that others may benefit more. In contrast, institutionalists focus on absolute gains. They argue that states are willing to cooperate as long as they benefit overall, regardless of other gains. This leads to a more optimistic view, where cooperation is not only possible but also common, especially when institutions are involved. In terms of methodology, this presentation follows a qualitative and theoretical approach. It is based on key contributions for international relations and political economy scholars, particularly authors like Keohei, Nye, Jervis, and Milner. Rather than using new empirical data, the analysis focuses on existing theoretical arguments. Here, cooperation is understood as a process of behavioral adjustment, where states coordinate their actions. Institutions are analyzed both as formal organizations and as systems of rules that structure repeated interactions between states. Now let's talk about the concept of cooperation. In this framework, cooperation does not mean trust or harmony. Instead, it refers to behavioral adjustment based on coordination among rational actors. States cooperate because it is in their interests, not because they trust each other. Institutions play a key role here. They create stable frameworks for interaction, shape expectations, and reduce uncertainty. As a result, cooperation becomes more predictable and sustainable, even without a central authority. The role of institutions and how they facilitate cooperations. First, they reduce transaction costs, making negotiations easier and less time consuming. Second, they provide information and increase transparency, which helps reduce mistrust between states. Third, they establish monitoring and enforcement mechanisms, ensuring that states comply with agreements. By addressing these problems, institutions make cooperation more feasible and help states achieve mutual gains. Now let's dig into the concept of interdependence. Globalization has increased economic interdependence among states. This means that countries are more connected and depend on each other, which makes cooperation more necessary. However, interdependence also creates vulnerability. Crises, such as the financial instability or supply shocks, can spread quickly across borders. This is where institutions became important. The evolution from the GATT to the WTO is a good example. GATT focused mainly on reducing trade barriers. However, the WTO introduced stronger rules and more effective dispute resolution systems. This helped reduce uncertainty, improve compliance, and strengthen global trade. International organizations. International organizations are key actors in this process. They provide structured forums where states can negotiate and coordinate their actions. They also establish rules, monitor behavior, and resolve disputes. This creates more predictable interactions and encourages cooperation. Examples are the United Nations, of course, the WTO, and the European Union. They show how institutions shape expectations and help manage global challenges. To conclude, cooperation is possible even in an anarchic system, where states act in their own interests. Institutions do not eliminate power politics, but they reshape incentives and make cooperation more likely. In a world of growing interdependence, institutions become increasingly necessary, even in today's concept of in today's world of institutional fragmentation, with interdependence becoming more visible. Overall, neoliberal institutionalism shows that institutions play a crucial role in transforming potential conflict into coordinated and stable cooperation. Thank you very much for your attention.